is Lauren entering the Dead Sea, the sea of no life.
I think I might sink. Yeah.
We're Lauren and Craig, and since 2008 we've been backpacking, campervanning and volunteering our way around the world. Our aim is to have as much fun as possible and live as cheaply as we can, and we've certainly achieved that over the years.
Tea time!
Cheers. Happy travels.
With a brief stop in Malta, we made our way from Argentina to Jordan for our next couple of months exploring the Middle East. We arrived in the city of Amman, checked into a hostel and then headed straight out to try some falafel and hummus.
What are you doing, Craig?
Just using my stirrer. Finest mint tea.
The following day we arranged a driver to take us to the Dead Sea. This is the lowest place on Earth at 408 metres below sea level. The water's extremely salty, so everyone comes here to experience what it's like to float in the Dead Sea. It felt normal walking through the sea, but as soon as you lay down, you bob straight to the surface. It was a really strange feeling because you can't swim, but you can lie on your side, lifting an arm and a leg in the air and still float in the water.
You're not getting anywhere, Craig.
The Dead Sea mud is supposed to be amazing for your skin, so we made sure we put lashings of the stuff on.
I don't have any, Craig. I'm all young and youthful.
Our next stop in Jordan was Petra, so we caught a 4-hour bus ride to the town of Wadi Musa. The pathway led us through the Seek, which is a tall canyon-like formation created from tectonic forces splitting the rock. It was amazing walking through this canyon, and suddenly it opened up and there was a view of the treasury. It was a very elaborate tomb which was hand-carved from top to bottom out of the sandstone wall. The area is full of tombs though, so we had 2 full days to go and explore them all. We continued on to the Street of Facades, which had over 40 tombs and houses built into the sandstone walls.
Oh, it goes so high up.
Petra was later annexed to the Roman Empire and continued to thrive until a large earthquake in 363 AD destroyed much of the city. The earthquake combined with changes in trade routes, eventually leading to the downfall of the city, which was ultimately abandoned. Dun, dun, dun.
We followed a trail that led up a rocky mountain, and from the top we were treated to an amazing view looking down at the treasury. Considering this site is the 7th wonder of the world, we were pretty disappointed to see how much rubbish there was in the area.
You've got no shoes now. Just... No. Oh, look at you.
There's one main trail that leads through Petra, which most people follow. So our favourite thing was going off on these tiny side tracks and finding tombs which we had all to ourselves.
A nice spot for lunch. The goats are coming.
That must be a matriarch.
Matriarch. Don't know if goats work like that.
Well, you find her, you find the pack.
The monastery is one of the main sites of Petra, but it's an uphill slog to reach with over 800 steps.
So, this is the humongous monastery, and this is all that's inside. It's just one room. It's very strange.
The view up's incredible.
Yeah.
Good idea of the structure.
Huge.
After 2 full days in Petra, it was time for us to head to the Wadi Rum Desert, and we were lucky to find a nice Belgian guy heading that way in his rental car, so we all went on the trip together. When we arrived at the entrance of Wadi Rum, we were met by a man called Abdullah, who put us in his 4x4 and drove us to his desert camp. We checked into our little tent, which was made out of goat hair, and then we headed up a hill to watch the sunset. The next day we had a 6-hour jeep ride to see all the sights in the desert. We drove across the burnt orange sand and past rocky mountains, arches and canyons. Our driver pulled up beneath a cliff face so we could have lunch in the shade, but right beside us was this huge dead camel that apparently had been there for years. He found it very funny and said, "We have lunch next to the dinosaur," and then he pulled out a picnic blanket for us to sit on.
Oh my god, those flies.
Later that afternoon, we left the desert and headed to Aqaba, a city that sits on the shores of the Red Sea. We wanted to go snorkelling, so we got a ride to a beach which was just 3 kilometres from the border with Saudi Arabia. From the beach you can watch the sunset across Egypt, and then the lights of Israeli cities fill the horizon at night. The visibility was incredible, and it's probably the first time I've swum in deep water and actually felt comfortable, as I could see the floor 20 metres below us. We swam above a shipwreck which had been sunk on purpose in the 80s specifically for divers' enjoyment.
Are you happy, duck? Your sunset in cuddles. So many cuddles.
For our final night in Jordan, we went to a local restaurant and bought 20 falafel balls for just 25p, and then we made our way back to Oman and caught a flight to Turkey.